Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another great episode of Bahrain Now, your source of local initiatives, happenings, talents, and trends. I'm your host, Khalid Hijris, here to walk you through our exciting lineup of segments and personalities from around Bahrain. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Organized by Sahabat ML volunteering group that includes young medical students of different nationalities, the Creative Teddy Bear Hospital Initiative aims at raising awareness and reducing childhood anxiety from hospitals and doctors through fun and interactive teaching, pursuing the goal of creating an educated generation of doctor-loving children. To talk more about it, we are pleased to be joined here in the studio by two of the initiative's volunteers, Maryam Tahiri and Dr. Maryam As-Sa'i. Welcome, how are you both doing?
Good, thank you for having us.
It's a real pleasure to have you both. Now, I'd like to start with you, Dr. Maryam. How did the idea of Teddy Bear Hospital start, and what are the main goals?
Okay, so Teddy Bear Hospital Initiative is kind of a universal concept, but it wasn't introduced into the Kingdom Bahrain until recently. So the concept is that we as doctors, we kind of realized how children get anxiety when they go into hospitals. Just stepping foot into a hospital, interacting with a doctor, or anyone that works in the healthcare facility would cause them to be anxious. So based on that, we kind of wanted to break that barrier of fear that children have towards doctors. And the concept of having a teddy bear essentially is we want the children to come to the initiative with their teddy bear with them, so that they're more at ease. They can take on the role of being the doctor and the teddy bear being the patient, and they'd go into different stations, and with every station they'll learn something and they'll treat the teddy bear as the patient. That way they feel more at ease. They understand that the teddy bear is something they hold dear to their hearts, so they wouldn't intentionally harm it. Similarly, that's what doctors do. They would try to care for the child and not cause any harm.
I think that that's a brilliant idea, and it's a really good way of contextualizing the experience for the child. And now, Maryam, what can you tell us about the children's interaction during the experience?
Mostly, like during the whole experience in the initiative, the children were very playful, and they were working well with like the doctors, and throughout like all the different stalls, they were like really interested, and they were like throughout the different stalls, they were taking on roles of like role playing as like different doctors, or like they were learning about like how to brush their teeth, or like how to inject things and like to their teddy bears. And they were like throughout all the stalls, you could see they were like gaining more confidence, and they were like losing that fear towards the hospitals or towards doctors and stuff like that. And they were really like enjoying it, you could tell.
I think that this is a brilliant way of kind of desensitizing children to that fear of hospitals, especially with like the little bit of practical touches like injecting like a teddy bear or something, and like you said, kind of reducing that anxiety of it being something harm related, just kind of like part of the process, kind of demystifies the whole thing. Now, Dr. Maryam, what can you tell us a little bit about your own role in this initiative?
So for this initiative, I was both part of the organizing committee, and I was also a participant on one of the days. So the event took place on 3 days. Being in the organizing committee, we had to work closely with the design team to create a hospital that was easy on the eyes for children. So we came up with the final design of having teddy bear ears in the entrance, and a lot of kids really enjoyed that. We also came up with the different stations. I had to recruit participants, and they came from different backgrounds. There were medical students, doctors. There were also students from high school that participated in the event. Because they came from different backgrounds, we kind of had to brief them before the event, do an online meeting, talk about their roles, give them some educational information before, so that they know what we expect from them when they come.
Brilliant. And Maryam, what can you tell us about the roles of other volunteers and organizers?
The roles of like other volunteers, we work with Sahabat ML team, and their role is to organize the event mostly. And we have many different volunteers come in, typically like medical students, so that they gain that experience with children. And like their roles are just to make a safe environment for the children, so that they feel more confident and more like less afraid of the hospital or clinic environment. And it's just to like create a whole positive environment for them.
I certainly wish I had something to help me out like that when I was younger. So I'm really glad that this is happening now, so that like this upcoming generation can be more, like a little bit less afraid of going to the doctors. And back to you, Dr. Mariam. Like, the group works hand in hand with various different institutions. What can you tell us about the importance and the outcomes of such kinds of cooperation?
Okay, so the idea of kind of having interaction with different corporations and people from different backgrounds, we kind of create a large pool of ideas and creative concepts that we kind of brainstorm before picking out new events to do later on in the future. And it kind of also encourages Bahraini youth to get involved with volunteering campaigns and campaigns that increase awareness and just community engagement in general.
Brilliant. And Mariam, going back to something that you said earlier about the interaction between children and medical students, can you tell us a little bit about why that's such a significant thing to have during this initiative?
Mainly because for the medical students, it's a good opportunity for them to be more comfortable with children, like while they're working in clinics or hospitals, and like they can gain more experience and more empathy towards children, and that like they gain communication skills too, and they're just like more comfortable when it comes to like a real life situation with a child. And it's good for the children too, because they can gain that confidence of like overcoming their fears and like realizing that a hospital isn't really a scary place and that the doctors are just there to like help them and stuff. And it also like they also develop an interest, like for the kids who are thinking about becoming like working in the medical field when they're older. They gain that interest with this whole thing basically.
Brilliant. And Dr. Mariam, how do you value the constant success witnessed by the Teddy Bear Hospital initiative?
Okay, so alhamdulillah, every single year we get this event carried out, and every year it's been successful. We can quantify the success of this event in many different ways. So firstly, like I mentioned, with every year we have more people participating, which is nice. And because the event takes place over 3 days, we see more people come up every single day than the day before. And just talking to the child, so the child goes through the different stations, and in the end when we give them their gifts, we kind of ask them, what did you learn today? They were like, okay, so injections are a bit painful in the beginning, but after that we know that it's going to give us, for example for vaccines, immunity for a long period of time. So just kind of understanding the child's perspective and getting feedback from the child would show us that this is successful. I also wanted to note that a lot of schools in Bahrain, so private and public schools, have actually reached out to Sahabat Amal because they want to participate with us to host this event on campus.
Again, I mean, especially with children, because they're so hands-on, it's always really nice to have something that really pulls them into that mindset, into the process. And I think that this is a brilliant way to bring them into it and kind of alleviate that fear factor. Now, Mariam, what makes this year's edition so unique? Like, how does it differ from any previous iteration?
Usually, like every year, there are different factors of the whole initiative that make each year like significant and different from the one before. That can be like different games or different booths or different volunteers too, and it can be like a different layout of the like the booths or the stalls and stuff. And like each year there's a difference each year with the games or with new tools or with stuff like that.
So basically it's always something new to keep the event fresh. I like that as well, because I mean children especially, they always need something to kind of pull their attention spans, especially these days. Now, Dr. Mariam, what are your plans to further develop the initiative?
So even though this event has been successful every year, there's always chance for improvement. So we're thinking of kind of incorporating the children being with us in Sahabat Amal. When we plan this event, we want to look at the child's perspective, understand their fears a bit more, so that we can create more stations so that the event can be larger. And since we've been getting a lot of good feedback from schools in Bahrain, we're also planning to host these events at schools, so on campus, and I feel like that's a really good start to kind of expand this.
Definitely, and I always think it's really good to bring something like that to a place where, like, especially where children are, like, where they're familiar with everything. It kind of makes it easier for them to absorb it. And Mariam, what are the future plans and upcoming projects of Sahabat Amal volunteering group?
Well, we plan to have more like external events, and like throughout the coming year there are like some more events that are planned, and it's to attract more like volunteers or more patients from different backgrounds or like backgrounds of education or culture, just to get everyone involved and to like bring light to the situation.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I mean, this sounds like such an amazing initiative, and one that I think really tackles an issue that a lot of children face. So it is something that you are going to, and you probably already have seen, the really like practical implications of. So thank you so much for your work, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more. Dedicated to emphasizing the role of literature in inspiring and educating young minds, Hanan Marhoon created her own book club, Chapters, to open the horizons of kids to a beautiful world of imagination and wonder. Welcome, Hanan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. This is an amazing opportunity for me to highlight something that's a passion, and hopefully something that will be something very important for the community of Bahrain, inshallah.
Inshallah, and I definitely think so. I've always been an avid reader, a bit more so when I was younger, and I do think that it equips people with a lot of skills that they don't always realize up until, you know, they've actually accounted for how much reading contributes to their development. Now, this is a pretty unique idea. How did you come up with it?
So basically, I am a reader myself. I love books, and living abroad for a long period with less of the responsibilities of what a normal woman would be doing, which is working and then coming back home and taking care of the kids. I'd have the morning period to myself with my kids in school, and I would go to the bookshops that are beautiful in Paris and just stay there for an hour or two and choose the books. And when my kids were around, I would make sure that they would be in the kids section, choosing the books that interest them. And it started with my kids, actually. And I could see the impact of the books on my children. I could see how it would calm them down, how it could replace the screens, which is something that's really critical for me, because I know how much screens can, you know, limit their imagination and creativity. So when they started reading and I saw how beautiful it was, I was excited to share that, and it started in small places. So I would give books as gifts to my friends, to their children, to my family, the small cousins, and they would really love it and tell me about how much they enjoyed it. And when my daughter started school in Bahrain, I could see that she'd carry her book in her bag, which was a highlight for me, and then she would come back with a different book. And so I'd ask her, where did you get that book from? And she goes, like, my friend gave it to me. And it turned out that they were exchanging books. So I told her, how about we do a book club? She goes like, Mom, what's a book club? And I explained it to her. She said, let's do it. And it started with a WhatsApp group of the mothers in my daughter's school. And it just grew from there.
That's incredible, and it's really cool how like you managed as well to get your kids interested in reading, because I feel like we were saying off screen that it is a bit of a habit, and the earlier that you attain that habit, I mean, the more the chances of you maintaining it.
Definitely, yes.
Now, with this book club, can you tell us a little bit about the types of books that you guys really focus on?
So currently Chapters is focused more on older age groups. So I'm starting from age 7 onwards. When parents of younger kids speak to me, I tell them the beginning, the roots is for you parents. I want you to focus on introducing them to books, touch books, sensory books, board books with pictures. Then you can send them to me when they're ready to read. And it's chapters, so basically we are reading the genre, which is a transition from picture books or graphic novels. And that's what started with my daughter. So she would bring in books that are graphic novels, and it would bother me a bit because the pictures were there and there were lots of content. And for me, I think and I believe that everything has an influence on the child's brain. And there's a limit to how much I could read from the graphic novels, because let's say there are 100 pages, and each page would have like 5 or 4 pictures with lots of content. So no matter how much I would scan through, there are a few ideas that I wouldn't be able to control. But when I have a book that's chapters, I could read it before her, make sure that it goes along with the values that I believe in, that I would want to have in my daughter and in my family and in the community as well. So the books that I'm currently introducing is the chapters books. And it's a good transition because it's developing the characters throughout the chapters. And there are plot twists, there are things that would interest children. And the first book that I introduced to the kids was a very famous book. It's called The One and Only Ivan by the author Catherine Applegate. And I found it very interesting how the kids loved the characters. So I would tell them, you're going to fall in love with the characters, and they would just roll their eyes. But then later they would say, my favorite character is this, and my favorite sentence was that. And I'd go like, yeah. So animals are easy because all kids love animals, and it's an easy entrance for them. And this is where I entered from, animals, and it worked really fine. And the character in the book is a gorilla. So the kids would draw gorillas everywhere, elephants everywhere. So yeah, currently we're doing chapters, and it's going good so far.
I mean, again, it just sounds incredible, and I really like that there's a bit of a, like while you're mentioning with the drawings and stuff, there's a lot of engagement with the content, like even focusing on stuff like the characters, because that is a part of obviously storytelling, yes. And then to see that attachment come to fruition is just brilliant. Now you also do a series of activities and sessions with chapters. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
So usually in an adult book club, you'd see the adults meet in a coffee shop or somewhere comfortable, and they'd discuss the books in a very serious manner. So they'd criticize the author or talk about the content in the discussions. And children have enough of that. They do plenty of hours in a closed place with lots of rules. Sit down, don't talk, raise your hands when you need to speak. I'm with rules and I'm with discipline, but then when they come to me, I tell them, feel free. We're not here to be serious, we're here to have fun. I want them to understand that reading is not a serious matter. It's actually a fun thing to do. And it's something that would actually develop their character. And I would tell them as soon as they come in, I promise you, you're going to be cooler than everyone else in the classroom. And they would say, why? And I tell them, because you'll have more vocab than them. So your conversations are going to sound much more interesting. You're going to have more information than them. You're going to have more creativity, more imaginations. Your friends are going to be on the iPad watching something given to them. They're just fed with information. But when you're reading a book, you can be creative, you can imagine. And when I give them a book, I ensure there are no pictures. And they didn't like it in the beginning, because as soon as I give them the book, they would go through it and they'd go like, Miss, there are no pictures. And I go like, exactly, that's your job. I want you to imagine the character, the gorilla, how does it look like, the elephant. And they would actually draw it. And each gorilla or elephant would look totally different from the other. So for example, I'd see a girl drawing a pink elephant. And I'd go like, wow, because who says that elephants should be gray? I mean, that's what they teach us, right? But we want them to have the imagination. We don't want to kill it. Because later when we work as employees, they're going to tell us, think out of the box. But we're used to thinking inside the box. So with reading, I think that will just develop that. And the sessions are usually done in bookstores. So I make sure that they're surrounded with books. And the activities usually include things related to the books, whether it's drawing, crosswords, puzzles. And they have so much fun because they work together as a team, girls versus boys, and so on. So it is a fun thing. We do it as 4 sessions. We try to finish 1 book each month. So it's always like chapters book of January, chapters book of February, and so on.
You know, I really like especially the emphasis on imagination. Because it's one thing to be aware, it's one thing to know, you know, how things are in real life, but it's another thing entirely to be able to see that thing through a different lens. And it's like you said, when you go to the workplace, for example, you are asked to think outside of the box, and even something like imagination can have a practical output, for example, in problem solving or in innovation. So it's really good to see you nurturing that, and I think children especially are always a great source of imagination, and sometimes imagination doesn't really need an output. It can just be, like you said, for fun. And that in itself has its own inherent value. Now, I mean, I'm really excited talking about this. I imagine you've gotten a lot of really good feedback from both kids and parents. Could you share some of that with us?
Yes, I was actually very happy that the parents that would approach me are actually readers themselves. And they're like, we read, but we don't see our children reading because we get busy sometimes and we tend to forget to read or carry our books. So they were very excited that someone else would support them in that journey. And I was like, I'd love to. If they already have it planted, they already see you holding a book, it's going to be easier for me. So most of the parents and the children, there are brilliant minds in Bahrain. I mean, we have beautiful young boys and girls that are readers. They would show me the chapters they finished and the books they finished at a very young age, and I'm talking 7 years old. And whether it's Harry Potter books or books related to space, non-fiction books, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the child reads, as long as he's holding a book and he's getting information that's valid, that's going to benefit them. Let them read. And that's what I would tell the parents. Do not say, oh, I want him to read that genre or to focus more on that topic. Just let them read. Let them go to a bookstore. Let them choose the books that they find themselves compatible with. Let them get it. And it's a very positive feedback. The interaction is beautiful. I get voice notes from children during the week. Miss Hanan, I finished the pages that we agreed on. Miss Hanan, this happened in the chapter. I'm very upset that the character was in prison. And so the conversation, I make sure to keep in touch with the children. So we have a WhatsApp group, and the parents allow them to send me a voice note during the week to update me, and I interact with them with genuine love and happiness. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have them around me. The children are just, I think they're pure bliss. They're beautiful things.
I think that like what you're conveying, I mean, it's just it sounds like a very rewarding experience.
It is.
And it's really, children always have that wonder about them. They aren't quite as jaded as older people are.
Definitely. They're so pure.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the way that they view the world and all of the possibilities that they see, I mean, I think that's something we could all use a lot of in our lives. And the fact that you're trying to keep it alive in these kids, I think, is just mind-blowing to me.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, for anyone who's looking to get involved with chapters, how could they go about that?
So we have our social media platform, the Instagram, and I update it on a daily basis. Whenever there is a new book to be introduced, there is a particular date set. So we have the calendar set out for 3 months ahead so parents can pre-plan. Because I know they always want to give their kids after-school activities, and I tell the parents always, don't overbook your kids. It will not add up to them being extremely brilliant or geniuses. Just take it easy on them. Let them enjoy their childhood. Parents want their children to excel in everything, and that's not possible. Your child can excel in one thing and be brilliant at it, and we should be very proud of our children in whatever they do and not expect the world from them, because at the end of the day, they have a lot to learn and they have a lot to give to us. So I always say that we learn from them more than they learn from us, honestly. So yeah.
Thank you. That is a very good point, because I think especially as you grow older, we kind of feel like we understand everything, but the truth is like sometimes you learn stuff from the most unexpected things. Even, for example, you might find a very good life lesson in a fiction book.
Yes, very true, very true.
So before we conclude, I would like to ask, though I can kind of glean what it is, but I would like to hear it from you. What is your main message to the viewers out there, or to the children watching, or to anyone who just wants to get back into reading?
Yeah, whether you're an adult or a young child, you should understand that reading can be fun as long as you read things that resonates with you. So you don't have to read the most popular book that's trending or the bestseller. Go and take the books, have a seat in the library or in the bookstore. Take your time to select the book. And if you don't like the book, don't continue reading it. I'd never ensure to finish a book just because I bought it. I'd buy books and reach 40, 50 pages and I'd go like, nah, that's not for me. And I'd put the book down. So choose a book that you like. Create the space that's the environment for you, like a cup of coffee or tea, a nice setting, and enjoy the book and understand that knowledge comes in all forms, whether it's in a story or in a quote. And I am a highlighter. I'm a person that highlights their books, and I have a friend of mine that would never write a word on the book. If she saw me highlighting the book, she'd go like, what are you doing? I'm like, next time I will pick up the book, I want to read the quotes that resonated with me. So everyone has their own style in reading, and everyone should trust their instinct about this book being suitable to them or not. Reading can be fun. Reading is actually cool. Being intellectual, being knowledgeable, is a beautiful thing, especially for young ones. And remember that children mirror your behavior. So if you're holding the phone all the time, don't expect your child to carry a book. So try to carry a book every once in a while. And when your child is actually reading the book, just go and ask questions about the book. Show interest. Tell them, I want to know more about what you're reading. Ask questions. And if they're in the car with you and they're bored or whatever, let them carry a book with them wherever they go. I always tell the community of chapters, if your child is going out or you're going to a clinic where you have to have a long wait, please carry a book. Don't carry an iPad, don't carry a phone. Just let the iPad die, no battery. Carry a book, let them read the book, talk about the book, have fun. And the more you link the element of fun to books, the more the kids will like it. So just put that in mind always.
Very eloquently put. Thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're as encouraged as I am to start reading again. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to the finish line. A huge thank you to all of our guests for joining us tonight. Another huge thank you to all of you watching us at home. As always, be sure to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below. We'd love to hear from you. This was Khalid Hidris, and until next time, good night and God bless.